Now, on induction day, I had intended to give you a short talk on plagiarism. This little 5-minute video is a replacement for that. Plagiarism is a very important topic in a university context. It's defined as the act of taking someone else's work, someone else's ideas, someone else's words, and passing them off as if they were your own. And it's considered a form of intellectual theft. The words or ideas or images may come from anywhere. They may even come from personal conversation, from social media, from interviews, from books, journals, from the World Wide Web. What matters is that you take someone else's ideas and you present them as if they were your own. Now, I'm sure most of you are sitting there saying that would never happen to me. I would never dare do that. And in this context, we need to distinguish between deliberate plagiarism, when you know perfectly well what you're doing and you're passing something else off as your own work, and accidental plagiarism. The two cases need to be considered separately. Deliberate plagiarism is the simpler one. I'm sure most of you would never do this, but if you go to a classmate and get the answers for an exercise, or copy their work and submit it as your own work, of course that's plagiarism. And we will take a very, very dim view. UCD has very stringent disciplinary procedures for that. So don't do that. And I'm quite sure you're capable of policing yourself there. I'm not going to assume that there's any real problem there. Don't steal other people's work. That's obvious. Now, UCD is a university whose reputation is built on policing this kind of activity. And so we have very strict regulations that include very strict sanctions for anybody found to be guilty of plagiarism. And here's the important point. The regulations do not distinguish between accidental and deliberate plagiarism. Deliberate plagiarism we've already covered, just don't do it. Accidental plagiarism is much more of a problem. Most plagiarism is accidental, and yet the regulations do not distinguish between the two kinds of plagiarism. If you accidentally plagiarize and are caught, you do not have an excuse. You cannot say, I didn't know. You cannot say, I didn't mean it. That's of no relevance. So how does accidental plagiarism arise? It happens when you use other people's ideas without acknowledging them. Now, we all use other people's ideas. We swim in ideas. We spend years learning other people's ideas, and we creatively combine these to generate our own ideas and arguments. We're not saying don't use other people's arguments and ideas. Of course you will. There's no other way to think. There's no other way to be creative. But when you use other people's ideas, other people's words, other people's arguments, give them credit. If you use their words, then you must quote those words, put them in quotation marks, and say where they came from. You should do that rarely. You should do that only for words that you are unwilling to change. Then you must provide a citation, including a page reference. Usually, when you're using other people's ideas, you want to formulate them in your own words. This has the added advantage of showing that you understood what you've read. So paraphrase. Don't quote verbatim, usually. Paraphrase, that is, say something in your own words. And even as you're presenting ideas and arguments, to the extent that you're aware that they come from somewhere else, give a citation. That is, you have to say where you got those ideas. Citation is the business of giving credit. It's extremely important. It's a very formal practice in academic writing, and there are very many rules that obtain here, which I'm not going to teach you all now. They vary greatly from one conference or one journal to another. Just be consistent. There are many styles. Here's an example of one style that's quite common in engineering. You can see on the left text, and you can see the numbers in square brackets. Those are the references. And in the reference section, we have the details of where the sources are, and they're listed in the order in which they occur in the text. This kind of style is found in engineering journals. It reads well, but you sometimes end up flipping between the back and the front of the document a lot. Here you see another example. On the left, we have a more verbose citation style. You see names, the surnames of the authors, together with the year of publication. And in the reference section on the right-hand side, the references are ordered by the alphabetical order of the surname of the first author. This is quite common in the humanities, in the biological sciences, and the psychological sciences. And as computer scientists, you may encounter either form of citation. There are lots of variations on them. Pick one and use it consistently. If you're submitting to a conference or to a journal, then make sure you find out what convention they use and use that. This makes document preparation quite a difficult business, and there are tools there to help you. If you're using Microsoft Word and Windows, then you may want to use a tool called EndNote. If you're preparing your documents using LaTeX on any platform, there's a tool called BibTeX, which is very, very handy for generating these. So it's necessary to learn how to avoid accidentally plagiarizing. There's a tutorial which the UCD library has prepared, and I'm providing the URL there. I would strongly recommend that you conduct that tutorial for yourself. Thank you very much.